Hello, and thank you for watching. My name is Blakely Barty. I'm a reporter for the Aiken Standard. This video is one part of the Aiken Standard's Candidates Forum, a series meant to help you get to know the candidates running for office in November. We sat down with Douglas Slaughter and John Bradley, the two candidates running for the District 8 seat in the Aiken County Board of Education. Our moderator, reporter Colin Demarest, asked each candidate 5 questions and allowed them to make opening and closing statements. The candidates had 2 minutes to answer each question. We are presenting their answers in full with no cuts or editing. So without further ado, please enjoy this video.
Hello, and thank you for joining us. This is one part of the Aiken Standard's larger Candidates Forum, a series meant to get voters familiar with those running for office in November. I'm Colin Demarest, a reporter with the Aiken Standard, and I'll be your moderator. I'm joined today by John Bradley and Doug Slaughter, candidates for Aiken County School Board District 8. Welcome. Let me explain how this will work. Each candidate will have 1 minute to make an opening statement. After that, a few questions will be posed to each of you. Candidates will alternate answering first. You each have 2 minutes per question. When we're finished with the questions, each candidate will have 1 minute for closing remarks. Are we ready to begin? Awesome. John, your opening statement.
I'm John Bradley. I am the current holder of the seat on the school board for District 8. I think I'll begin just by telling you a little bit about me. I'm a clinical psychologist by profession. I worked at the state hospital for a number of years at the prison system. Then I thought I was prepared for public schools and worked as a school psychologist for several years. I came to Aiken as the assistant superintendent for special services, and I worked with the district here for 21 years in a variety of assistant superintendent capacities. After retiring from the board, I went to the Savannah River site, worked as a clinical psychologist in the medical department there for 21 years. 2 years after I retired from the school district, I ran for the school board and was elected. I served 16 years, chairman for 13, and retired in 2008. I ran again in December of last year following the problems that were reported widely in the press. That's basically who I am. I come from an educational family. My mother was a teacher, my wife was a teacher, and my son graduated from the Aiken County Public School System.
Thank you. Doug, your opening statement.
I'm Doug Slaughter. I'm the pastor of Second Baptist Church here in Aiken, South Carolina. I've been in Aiken for 28 years, and I'm your candidate for Aiken County School Board District 8. I've been a very active community person here in Aiken, serving on several boards, the Aiken Center for the Alcohol and Drug Board for about 14 years. I've been an advocate for education and an active volunteer in most of the high schools and middle schools here in Aiken, and I'm excited about this opportunity to share with you some of my expertise in education, some of my experiences in education, and the reasons why I'm running, and thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. On to the questions, and Doug, you'll answer the first one first. What are the biggest needs of the Aiken County Public School District as a whole, and how would you address them?
There are 2 or 3 things I think that I feel are the biggest needs for Aiken County schools. I think first and foremost, there's a need for a vision in times of crisis like we're in right now. We need innovative vision for how to turn the obstacles and challenges that we're facing as a result of COVID-19 into opportunities for our school children and for our school system to do a better job. I think it's very important to provide leadership in times of crisis, and I feel very strongly that's something that I can do. I think the second thing, and this is with any organization, any institution, whether it's a business, whether it's a company, but especially with a school or a school district, leadership is essential. And vision is definitely a part of leadership. And effective leadership has to be transformational. You have to look for ways in which you can observe and analyze the situations that you're facing, and then provide the leadership to the individuals who are engaged in the situation or the problem that you're facing, and provide that guidance, that influence, whether it's with influence within the community, whether it's influence with the families and the parents of the students who may not understand what you're trying to do or the direction that you're trying to take. And then I think the third thing that's most important is that the school board must work as a team. This may sound trite, but I do believe teamwork makes the dream work. And the Aiken County School District is a team with the superintendent, with the principals, with the teachers and the parents, and we have to have an effective team to be able to be successful.
Thank you. John?
Well, I think the major need of the school district right now is for the virus to go away. The COVID virus is something that we've never experienced before in modern history. It's something that we did not have a template to deal with. We've had to struggle to find answers to all of the problems that were produced by the virus. One of the major needs after the virus even is to develop better technological ways of providing instruction. We have shown, one thing we've learned from the virus is that we're not prepared technologically to provide instruction throughout the county. We've had numerous problems with hotspots and the absence of Wi-Fi and that sort of thing. We also need better instructional programming that can be delivered in a distance learning fashion. We need to retain teachers. We have a problem finding good qualified teachers, especially minority teachers. We need to retain and recruit teachers of top quality. An ongoing problem that we've addressed for many, many years is fitting the instruction to the child. We have to try to find better ways of doing a better job of individualizing the instruction so that we can meet a child as he is when he walks in the schoolhouse door and work with him on his level in hopes of improving that level. Finally, to piggyback on what Reverend Slaughter mentioned, is we do need to work as a team, and we have worked as a team since I've been on the board. I joined the board in December of last year, and I've been pleasantly pleased with the way the board has worked together. I think that most of the members of the board, all of the members of the board, are there for the right reasons, and I think they want what is best for children and the school district. Thank you.
Thank you. John, you'll answer this one first. In your opinion, has the school district kept students safe during the COVID-19 pandemic? What would you like to see done differently and why?
I think we are following the protocols delivered or publicized by the CDC and DHEC to the maximum extent that we possibly can. The one that bothers me most is social distancing because of the size of the classroom and the number of children that you put in the classroom. That's the reason I voted for hybrid. Is that if we had a full-time return, we are not going to be able to social distance in the classroom. We wear the mask. We sanitize the rooms. We run the ACs to try to filter the air. We're doing that type of thing. I don't know what we could do more to make the environment safer than we're currently doing if, short of adjusting the number of students present in the classroom. Safety beyond the virus is also an issue. We do what we can by securing the buildings as best we can. They are pretty secure. Nobody can gain entrance without permission. We have a good working relationship with law enforcement. I don't know that your question addressed that type of safety, but we do strive to maintain safety in the schools in all situations. The major, I think that's it. I think basically we're doing what we can do under the circumstances we have to keep children as safe as we can from COVID. But, you know, let's face it, it's a risk. I mean, you know, anytime you put a group of people in a confined space, even when you social distance, you're going to accidentally pass by, breathe on somebody, whatever. That's the reason why wearing the mask is so important. It's something that this board takes very, very seriously. We have struggled and struggled trying to provide as safe an environment as we possibly can.
Thank you. And could you pass the mic down to Doug? In your opinion, has the school district kept students safe during the COVID-19 pandemic? What would you like to see done differently and why?
I really think, I know that the reason that I got into this race was a result of COVID-19. At the end of the school year last year, I heard a report from the State Board of Education that there were approximately 40,000 students who had not had any kind of significant contact with their teachers since the school year ended so abruptly. That concerned me greatly because I know that if a child is not reading by the 3rd grade, that they ultimately could be behind the rest of their school career without the right kind of intervention. And I wondered what would happen if being out of school for the summer can impact a child's learning ability, what being out of school for a whole semester would do. And I felt like that it is going to be important to think about ways and consider ways to address that need. I did take time to visit several of the schools as I decided to run to see what the strategy was for keeping them safe from the virus itself. And we do know that children have a bit of resilience towards the virus that us older adults don't have. But I felt like the committee that the board put together, you know, did their homework. They followed the guidelines they needed to follow. They took direction and guidance from the state board. And I think that was the immediate crisis. But I think there's a long-term safety risk related to COVID that we have to really begin to think about. And I know for those who are right up on this new school year, they have they had that before them, but we have to begin to think longer range. And that's why I'm running, because I want to help introduce that kind of problem solving to our present board.
Thank you. This goes to you, Doug. What issues do you hope to address that affect District 8 specifically? How would you address them?
Well, I guess I can continue to talk because I think that school safety is a concern as it relates to COVID-19. But when you read the mission statement for our school district, it talks about trying to become the premier school district. It doesn't say in South Carolina. It says to become the premier school district. And Aiken County over the last several years has done a phenomenal job with that as far as children's academic success. Right now, Aiken County School District is #1 as far as achievement based on the report cards of the various schools within the district across South Carolina. And it would be sad, I think, or a shame to allow COVID to stop that forward progress. And so that would be an additional problem that I would try to address to make sure that we not use COVID as a reason to move in a different direction other than forward and upward as it relates to the progress that our students and all students in all of our schools. I did hear we had one unsatisfactory school, and that sounded like a negative, but they were 3 points away from being, an average school. And so Aiken County historically has done a phenomenal job over the last 5 years. And I feel like it's important to have persons who will keep that in mind and push and ensure to make that a priority. Education is about children being first, and I think that's key.
Thank you. John.
I don't know that District 8 has any unique problems. District 8 is comprised of a pretty large landmass. It stretches in spots from I-20 all the way down to to Lathrop Church Road, which means it encompasses a good bit of rural area. But then again, there are other districts in the school district that have even more rural area than that. We have a variety of children, come from farm families, rural families, city dwellers. Again, matching the instruction to the needs of the child is an issue in District 8, just as it is in all the other districts of the school district. The general problems that confront all of us, the school district, are, we talked about discipline. We've got a pretty good discipline code. The way we administering it now is much better than the way we used to do it. We have numerous opportunities, alternatives to expulsion that didn't exist years ago. We have some problems that emerged in Sally Monday night at the town hall meeting there. Career education is not as available in rural areas as it is in the more central areas of the district. And we've got to look at some ways of improving that. In general, all the areas are, wrestling with teacher retention, with funding, and the kinds of problems that have been habitual problems for the school district ever since I've been in Aiken, the 50 years I've been in Aiken. I am very concerned, again, about the students in District 8 who are not being able to attend class. We do have a virtual program that parents could have opted into where they receive full-time instruction via a computer. But those who chose to come back under the hybrid model are not getting them. In my opinion, the days that they're not in school need to be strengthened, and that's something we're working on.
Thank you. You will answer this one first, John. How could inclusion and diversity be improved in the Aiken County School District?
Well, if we look at teachers first, our percentage of African American teachers is below the percentage of African American students. So we would probably need to close that gap. Part of the problem with that is finding qualified or certified African American teachers. We recruited traditionally African American colleges in an effort to try to improve that ratio. And we continue to do that. That's one thing. The administration, the racial makeup of the administration is pretty comparable to the distribution of African American students. It's about 35% African American, 65% white, which is basically what the student body is. We have been accused in the past of being harder on African American students as portrayed by a disproportionate number of expulsions. And if you look at the data, there are more African American students being dealt with in that way than white. But we have started trying to address that by having options other than expulsion. There comes a time when a child's behavior is such that he cannot be continued in school setting. So we allow that child to receive instruction at home via computer and various computer programs. So those are the kinds of things that we're doing. I think that most schools are welcoming. When I tour, maybe I'm not as sensitive as Reverend Slaughter would be, but when I walk through the schools and all, I see a welcoming atmosphere for all students.
How could inclusion and diversity be improved in the Aiken County School District?
Inclusion is critical in any corporation, in any business, in any community, and particularly in school systems. It's essential. when you have an inclusive school system, you have a diversity of cultural experiences. You have a level of understanding from different perspectives that really creates a synergy within the school or within the district. And it's something that doesn't happen by accident. It has to be something that's tackled intentionally. I've heard at times that it is difficult trying to find diverse candidates for school systems, but South Carolina has done some phenomenal things. There's a program with African American men called Call Me Mister. It started at Clemson, and it's at Claflin, it's at Coastal Carolina, that really prepares young men to go into the classroom, because it's been proven that having role models that look like you makes a difference. The challenge has been in Aiken County, from my knowledge, has been that they choose to go to other districts where where they can make more money. So I think that we have to put some money behind leveling that playing field. I think it's critical. I think that it's critical because those at the district level, seeing persons on the board that reflect them also becomes role models for the young people in our community, and that's my being on the board would add to that, and I think it's important.
Thank you. Doug, you'll answer this one first. With the Western population migration in Aiken County, what should the school district's priorities be with the attendance zones, future school renovations, and other upgrades?
Let me approach that question like this. Aiken High School is an amazing place. They have some programs that I think children who may not want to go to college, who may not even want to go to technical school, can literally prepare them for a career that they could make a living wage, not a minimum wage, but a living wage. Right now, Aiken High School is about, could handle, not with COVID of course, but if COVID was not an issue, could handle an additional 400 students. It was designed for that. I think with the right kind of conversations and building relations and understanding, for persons who may be resistant to moving their children to schools like Aiken High, which is an amazing school, that resistance may go down. I understand that people have history and they have communities that they love and they cherish. Because the vision of Aiken County Schools is to keep children first, I think if we can do a better job of letting parents know what the opportunities are in other schools, it may be an easier sale to have folk to want to move to schools that are more centrally located, maybe in the city. That's what I would suggest, advocacy, trying to advocate for the schools that are underpopulated to the parents in those districts where the schools are overpopulated.
Thank you. And if you could pass the mic.
Would you read the question again, please?
Yes. With the Western population migration in Aiken County, what should the school district's priorities be with attendance zones, future school renovations, and other upgrades?
I think the number one priority should be planning, long-range planning. The growth in the Midland Valley area was apparent when I was on the board in 2008. The monies to build buildings were appropriated after the bond referendum, which occurred after that. We need to look at population trends and plan our building program around those population trends. So far, we've had to fix what's broken first. A lot of what's been done with the building program is fixing housing situations that are not, school building housing situations. that are not functioning at an optimal level. Once we get to the point where that's been pretty much taken care of, we need to add classrooms, build new schools, build buildings in the areas that are showing population growth. Rezoning is a terribly upsetting thing to parents. It creates probably more negative feedback to the board than any other thing that we do. People buy homes in anticipation of their children going to a particular school. I like to prevent that to as much as humanly possible. Time comes when there has to be some shifting around of populations, and I would prefer to address that through specialized educational programs in particular buildings. You know, we've done that to some degree by having an arts program at East Aiken, which was an area in which the population was declining. So we've attracted voluntary attendance there from other areas to enroll their kids in the arts program. Before I got on the board, there was a rezoning that shifted kids to that school, and that was very upsetting to the parents. But essentially, I think that the best answer lies in long-range planning to put the buildings and classrooms where we see population growth.
Thank you. That's all for the questions. Doug, your closing remarks, please. And John, could you pass the mic? Your closing remarks, please.
I shared earlier that my primary motivation for running for school board was to bring my expertise, experience, and leadership to ensure that all the children in Aiken County are able to continue their forward progress. I think it's critical. I feel strongly that the board is handling the immediate need of safety for the COVID situation. We do need to increase technology in our rural areas, and that's going to take some major focus on infrastructure, because if you have a computer and you can't connect, it really doesn't help. It's going to take, as we move forward, innovation and focus on technology and career readiness to make sure that our children continue to excel and succeed. And I want to be a part of that. And thank you for this opportunity to share my ideas and views with you guys.
Thank you. And if you could pass the mic back. And John, your closing remarks.
I too would like to thank the Aiken Standard for hosting this event. I appreciate it. I have, in my opening statement, I listed the positions and my experience with the school district. I think that you can see from that I've had a lot of experience. I've spent 38 years in one capacity or another addressing the problems as an administrator and or school board member. I think I bring to this job a wealth of experience and some history that can be very useful in troubling times. That's the reason I decided after an 11-year layoff from the board to run again. When things looked shaky, I felt like that I could perhaps provide some stabilization to the situation. Essentially, I think that the best thing that I have to offer is, one, I care about kids. I care about people. My whole life has been in activities aimed at trying to be helpful to people, particularly people with problems. And when you add my educational experience and my profession, I think that you have to decide on November 3rd whether or not those are sufficient. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.